All right, so to do cut and paste, I'm going to explain a few strange oddities in my own work, and then I'm going to switch sessions and actually show you some tricks. All right, so here in this little section, we've got a couple of things going on. Let's just play it once, and then I'll talk about it. Okay, so these two tracks appear related, and that's because they are actually. And I wanted to explain why I do this sort of thing. I started out with this track. So basically started out with the darker green. So we can get this bigger for us. I started out with the darker green, and then I ended up cutting stuff into it. Let's listen. Okay, so this came from a totally other track. By the way, I've lately been cutting up my older work, so I'm cannibalizing. And so then I took the remainders of that and just stuck it up there. Why? Because it has effects on it, lots of them. Okay, so they're going to multiple different effects, but the net result is the reason is it struck me how beautiful the one part sounded, and so there is no rules. I don't care what anybody says, or you can't mix tracks or anything like that. Do whatever strikes you. Here's how it is in context. Okay, what do we have here? These are deactivated tracks. So if you pan out, and you can see that I do that a lot, I have a bunch of dead areas here. What is it? Basically, sometimes instead of cutting something, I'll leave a series of ideas in place. And you deactivate with the 0 key. So let's hear this. Okay, and I just decided it was too busy for this section. Lastly, offsetting. If you look at my The Art of Programming Drums, not to plug it, but I do an awful lot of offsetting. What is it? Right here, these two tracks are basically just kick drum tracks. Okay, so I have made my own samplers of my favorite kick drums. Okay, and I'm in the habit of making bass lines out of these things. And so I have two of these samplers together. Okay, and then I have what I do is called, that one's deactivated. So then I take the same two patterns, but I slip one against the other, so I offset this gray one against the pink. Okay, so given your rhythmic set of ideas that you really can't hear in advance, so you don't even know what it sounds, I mean, you wouldn't even be able to think that way. But it's just offsetting like Steve Reich. So here's that section. Listen to the drums. So it basically, when I did that, I dropped something out. I dropped the xylophone part out. And it basically it's music. So every 8 bars I create tension. I roll up to it with these cymbals. Okay, and then lastly, again, you'll see all throughout that I'll take the same clip and drag it across several tracks. Now, it is not standard practice, but to me, if it sounds good, it is good. I don't care what they do in rock and roll Eagles recording sessions that are music from the 70s that I already heard a bunch of times. There is no rules. Rant over. So I just take this ambient reversed pattern, where I'll get more into these things in building transitions. But I just throw it across a number of tracks with different effects on them. Okay, and it's just better. Okay, let's switch to another session and I'll show you some tricks. All right, cut and paste. I have a loop brace. I can Command E and cut that brace right there. I can also take a selection of a certain clip and arrow that selection up and Command E just that one spot. Okay, or I can take open space, shift that up, and cut it there. So I can take a relationship, a time relationship, and Command D, duplicate it, and it keeps in its position. Okay. What happens if I wanted to even something out, like take, a selection of the blue as well? I can go here and then arrow up, cut that, and then duplicate like that. And it holds that time relationship. Okay. I can take this and a couple of these, not all of them. I'm holding down the Command key. And then let's get this one up here. Then I can duplicate that just like so. I can also Option drag it. So I've got my option. You'll see a tiny little plus sign there, and I can take it, touch the side there, and bring it back to the beginning. Okay. Notice I dropped it on the wrong tracks. This is one of the things that I've done in the previous example, is I've always been fascinated when you take certain items and put them on the wrong tracks. You get some interesting results. All right, so here's another thing that you can do. You can, I'll consolidate all these so that, just for the sake of clarity, I guess. All right, so I can take a selection, shift hold, and I'm not even going to cut this. This is something a lot of people don't know. I'll just hold the Option key down and pull it, just like so. So once again, take a selection, up, shift, and then even if I wanted to get the bottom of it there, I can hold down my Option and drag it, and it doesn't sever the previous part. Okay. Discontiguous things can be Option dragged, just like that. Okay, and then again, you're going to watch the tracks. All right, so let's move on to the time-based commands, which are all on the loop brace, and up here, time, time, time.